Welcome to the Militia gaming community. I'm Trigger, and today we talk about the 1970 Plymouth Barracuda. Let's go! Alright, before I get into the video, I just want to mention that the Militia Gaming Co. website is the best place to find information about the channel and about Need for Speed Heat. I have all of my Need for Speed Heat builds linked right there at the top. I have merch if you feel like supporting the channel, and there's a link to the Discord if you're looking for level 50 crews. There's a bunch that are hanging around in our Discord that are definitely recruiting. Alright, let's get into this Plymouth Barracuda. So, like most of the muscle cars in Need for Speed Heat, the Barracuda is pretty slow on the track. It's just a heavy car and it doesn't accelerate very well. Most of the muscle cars actually handle decently, but they tend to slide out a little bit in the back too much. They have less traction than a lot of the other cars. That being said, it does have a use in Need for Speed Heat, and I'll talk about that in one of the later builds, but let's talk about the fastest engine and track build first. So the fastest engine for the Barracuda is the 585 forged 4.7 liter V8 engine. I was able to run a 307.2 on Arian, of course no shortcuts there, and a 246.1 on Sonic. These times are not good at all. I mean, they're in the bottom third of all the cars that I've tested. So don't build this car for track, it's just not good for that. Unless of course all of your friends are building it for track and then you guys are all racing the same car. Of course that makes sense. But other than that, it's not going to win any awards on the track. That being said, here is the track build in its entirety. That 585 horsepower forged engine, Ultimate Plus engine parts with a dual turbo and a 5x3 pound NOS. And before anyone gets upset, yes, the dual turbo is faster than a supercharger. There's a lot of muscle car fans out there that are going to be like, no, you got to put a supercharger on it. But you're wrong, the dual turbo is faster. Super track suspension, stock brakes, elite race tires, elite plus clutch, super plus 6-speed gearbox, and the super track differential with NOS refills and duration. And then I have steering sensitivity bumped up 2, and I've got downforce -2, traction control off, and drift style on gas. Alright, moving on to the drag build. Now this is a build where you would think that this car would be very good. In general, muscle cars are thought of as really good drag cars, and here in the States, that's what we always see. We always see these big fatty slicks on the back of a super raked muscle car that just tears it up on a drag strip, but this car is not like that. This is actually pretty slow. It's got an 8.77 quarter mile, which in real life is great, but in the game it's not. And it's got a 2.0 0 to 60. Again, in real life it's awesome, in the game not so much. This is not a very fast drag car, and I don't really recommend using it. But if you wanted to use it, here is my full build. The 585 forged engine again, same Ultimate Plus parts, dual turbo, 1x15 pound NOS. We've got super track suspension, stock brakes, elite drag tires, elite plus clutch, super plus 6-speed gearbox, super track differential, refills and duration, and then I keep my steering sensitivity the same because it doesn't matter for drag at 2, downforce -5, traction control off, and drift style on gas. Alright, moving on to the drift build, and this is where this car actually shines. It is a great drift car. It feels great, it transitions great, it handles great. It's just an all-around good drift car. Now I test all of the drift cars by taking it to that small drift section that's right outside the racetrack, and this car does very, very well. For the tests, I usually run it 3 times in the most clean fashion, highest scores I can possibly go, and then I average that out. This one averages 99,781, which means I had a run that was over 100,000 and a couple that were under, but it's definitely possible to get over 100,000 with this car on that particular drift section. It's amazing. It actually drifts very, very well. You can definitely 3-star any event in the game. So I highly recommend this car as a drift car. It's not in the top 5, but it's got to be very close to those top 5 cars with this type of scoring. So if you really like muscle cars and you don't want to use one of the more traditional drift cars like the RX-7, build yourself a Plymouth Barracuda. Alright, for the full drift build, we've got the 585 horsepower engine again, Ultimate Plus engine parts, and here's where all those muscle fans are going to be excited: an Ultimate Screw supercharger, a 5x3 pound NOS, super speed cross suspension, stock brakes, and the elite drag tires. That's a funky build, but it is what it is. We've got the Elite Plus clutch, Pro Plus 4-speed gearbox, Pro drift differential, NOS refills, NOS duration, and then steering sensitivity at +5, downforce -5, traction control off, drift style on, gas. And lastly, let's take a look at an off-road build. All right, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on the off-road build because it is literally one of the worst cars in the game for off-road. It is tied for last place with the Raptor as the worst off-road car that I've tested. And I've tested over 80 cars in the game. There's about 130, I think, in the game total. I've tested 87 cars in the game, and this and the Raptor are the worst off-road cars in the game. It's just absolutely crazy. You can do this if you want. I'm gonna give you the build, but there's literally no reason to use this car off-road. The engine is the 585 horsepower engine, Ultimate Plus engine parts, dual turbo 5x3 pound NOS, Super Rally suspension, stock brakes, Elite off-road tires, Elite Plus clutch, Pro 4-speed gearbox, Super Rally differential, NOS refills and duration, and then steering sensitivity +5, downforce -5, traction control off, drift style on, gas. Hey, before I go, shout out to all the Heat 5 members of the channel. If you want to see your name up here with the rest of these legends, all you have to do is click the join button below and become a Heat 5 member. By doing this, you'll be supporting the channel in ways you will not believe, and you get all kinds of sweet perks like members only streams and specific exclusive Discord channel access. All right guys, and with that, I'm gonna end the video, but I really appreciate your support on this series. It's been amazing, and thank you so much for watching. Shout out to all the Militia subs. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.